So yeah, I am very passionate about B2B marketing. Just like Nina says, I've been in the field now for 25 years. So that's a quarter of a century. I think that's quite something. And I recently published a book as well, just to share all that I have learned over the years, especially to the younger generation who are as well passionate in this field. And in B2B marketing, I've predominantly been focused in the tech sector, tech or software sector. And I love it because it changes all the time. And I see it as such a privilege to have learned and grown so much over the years.
I love it. That's like the first step of awareness, keeping everything in and then having a reference to go back to.
Yes.
So very excited to have you here. Our main topic for today is really practicing mindful leadership in the workplace. And I guess we can go with the first question, Jess, and that is, what is your personal definition of mindfulness and how have you incorporated it? And how are you incorporating it right now in your own leadership today?
Okay, so I think mindfulness, you can boil it down to one word, which is awareness. And awareness is not just of your surrounding, but first and foremost is awareness of self. And secondly is awareness of others. And with that then comes focus, ability to focus on things that matter. And as well as, like you mentioned, being present, being in the moment, present in the moment. And, you know, a lot of people, they are disengaged and they are on autopilot because, you know, this life is chaotic. And by being mindful, actually you can enjoy living and leading so much more and so much better, right? So maybe I can explain a little bit. What is awareness of self actually? You know, it's constantly evolving, but, you know, we all have our own experiences, biases, needs, and just to understand and to reflect on those. That is awareness of self. Of others, the same thing. Everyone has their own experiences, biases, and needs. And to be aware that they come in with a different perspective, I think that is a great place to start. And, you know, the beauty, this is just the beginning, but practicing this, so much more comes out of it. You become more compassionate, you understand about people more, you listen more, you focus on them more. So that's just the beginning, awareness of self and others. And so many beautiful things come out of it. And what is foundational as well is then you find purpose through this exercise as well.
Right. I love how you mentioned that awareness is also bringing in the capacity to focus, because when you're suddenly aware, you come up with so many things to think about. And even there are just so many external factors and distractions. Like you're right. It's a hustle bustle life right now. And
Exactly.
being aware is really also cultivating that skill to be able to focus on things that give purpose or that are important to you. And
that's right. And you know what, Nina, what's interesting is, I think everyone needs to know, every human being has that innate capability to train that. Everyone without exception, like a muscle that can be trained. And like I said in the beginning, your life then becomes so much more meaningful and you become happier by serving others. And it begins with this mindfulness.
Yeah, I think that's great to pick up on, like giving purpose, because that is also being able to find intention with the things that you're doing and with the people that you're working with. Because the opposite of mindfulness is really mindlessness. Like, you know, you're not thinking about anything at all. So when you start,
that's right.
So when you start to find purpose, it's more of being more intentful with your relationships or being more intentful with the things that you're doing and really asking yourself, why are you doing these kinds of things? But
That's
yeah,
right.
I mean, going back to your leadership, the leadership experience, and you know, you mentioned that you've been working with a lot of tech companies and also tech industries. How have you learned to cultivate mindfulness, especially in, well, I want to say it's like a least common industry, but I guess one of the more high tech or fast paced industries.
That's right. That's right. So there are some practical things that I've learned, right? By being self-aware, you know, just a simple thing as pausing and not being reactive, that will benefit your leadership style tremendously. And so pausing is really important. Another practical thing that I've learned is, your mind or your ego wants to protect you. And so it creates a lot of stories. And, I've read many, many books, and I know you have as well, like Untethered Soul. You are not your mind, right? And you have to take these thoughts with the grain of salt. And like I notice at night, my mind can get a bit manic sometimes. And then in the morning it changes. And it's so important to differentiate between story and facts. This is what has helped me throughout my career, because our mind loves to create stories, jump to conclusions, and then we react, and then the damage is done, right? But to pause and to understand, is this a story or is this a fact, while you're pausing, to really think about that. It's a very practical tactic that you can implement, and it can help you avoid conflict, resolve conflict, by just understanding the difference between story and fact. So I think in leadership, this is really important. Another thing, I believe that the being a leader is such a privilege, because it's a platform for you to give back. So it's not just about power or money. Of course, those are great things too. And I believe you can have it all. Nothing wrong with wanting money and bonus and living a luxurious life. But on the other hand, think about, you are given this opportunity to impact people's lives, because career is such a big part of people's lives. You spend so much time at work, more than with your families most of the time, right? And as a leader, you can make a difference. You can think about it in a way that, okay, I can help this person grow, become a better professional, be successful, and all of those things. And coming at from that angle, and your staff will feel it. Your team members will feel that the leader has their best interests at heart, and that in itself will reap tremendous benefits when they trust you as a leader and understand that the leader just wants the best for me. They will go the extra mile, so there's this trust that is developed, and of lasting friendship. I know there's this thing going around about, if at work, you shouldn't make friends, they're not your real friends, but I beg to differ. It really depends on how you approach it. I've have the best friends from work, so it's not true that they say, be careful at work, they're not really your friends. I disagree with that. It really depends on how you approach it.
Yeah, and I feel like that totally like supports what you just said about like narratives in your head, when you come up with when there are passing thoughts in your head and then you start to presume that it's actually true, then that becomes your reality. So I completely agree. Like if you think that you shouldn't make friends with you shouldn't make work friends, then yeah, that's gonna be your reality because you fixate on it. And that's what
Exactly.
yeah. So I completely agree with everything you said. With the next question following up is, you mentioned so much, and I feel like we can totally take a step back and like list it out in terms of priorities or maybe a hierarchy to it. For your personal experience and even your professional journey, what were the essentials that you needed to take or that you needed to have this mindful leadership in place? And how did you start implementing it? What was the starting point? Did you have any setbacks? And how are you able to conquer them?
Yeah, of course, it's been a very long journey for me, and I'd like to think that I've developed more acute mindfulness over the years. But just being conscious about that, and proactively taking steps to becoming a mindful leader. You can read books, but even if you are not you don't enjoy reading books, just as simple as journaling, and reflecting on the day, on the week, how you were as a leader, how people might have perceived you, and not being reactive. Those are some of the steps. But then concretely, for me specifically, has been reading books and practicing what the books have taught. Reading is one thing, but you need to practice, especially like meditation. Without practice, then you're just reading about, how to do it.
Yeah.
It's insufficient. You have to practice it. And so over the years I've implemented all of this. But also in the past, luckily the companies I've worked for, they've sent me to a number of training. And one of the training is about conflict resolution. And that's where I learned about the power of differentiating between stories and facts. And I found then the link of that to mindfulness.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. And I love how they also support you in those kinds of training. So it's not
Yes,
in the tech aspect of the tools that you need to develop as a tech marketer, but also certain traits and mindsets.
that's right.
Awesome. With your journey right now and just mindful leadership in general, has it improved your relationship with your employees and how has
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
So, sorry to cut you off. No,
Oh,
but for me, what is better than money or success or titles? It's when you leave a company and your team, they create something special. Like even the last company that I left, they created a video and each and every one of them shared how I impacted their life. So that to me is so precious. And of
nice.
course, I was like in tears, but this is not, this is not the first time. So even when I left back then, so for AG, I mean, just the gratitude I received from the team. And I think that is something that I'll take to my dying bed, right? It's just so beautiful. The, the, the knowledge that, okay, I somehow made an impact. And
Yeah.
it's like I said, better than the titles or the money, but you can have it all. I'm still after the title and the money.
I still gotta go to the other.
It's not
No,
mutually exclusive. You can have it all.
yeah, and I honestly that just reminds me of how one of the greatest things in mindfulness as well is finding one is finding purpose, but also finding connection within yourself and also with people. So that's so I am so it's so heartwarming to hear that.
It's great. And I love that you guys are doing this. This is so important. And it's not just benefiting others, but yourself as well. You'll
Yeah.
go to bed smiling, thinking that, okay, I made someone's day better today. And the thing is, being a leader, like I said, it's a privilege and such a unique opportunity for you to give back.
Yeah. I think safe to say, you're very experienced and you're very aware with your own mindful journey. And I'm so happy to hear that, you have really taken a lot of time and effort to really build that. And I see all of the results that are reaping out of it. So I guess for the last question is, what is the most important advice that you can give to those who are trying to build their mindful leadership in the workplace or even just mindfulness in general in their personal journey?
Yeah, just consciously make effort, proactively take effort in this direction. I mentioned earlier about reading books. I'm an avid reader. I love reading books, but some people are not. There are podcasts as well, but also journaling, as simple as journaling. In the Buddhist religion, they regard studying yourself as a great deed because that's how you become slowly better and better. And if you're better, then the impact is like waves to people around you.
Yeah.
So it's very simple. And I mentioned as well earlier, every human being has that innate capability. So don't live like a robot, don't go around because life is very hard. And this is a way for you to have a very meaningful existence, and it's a privilege to be a leader. Over and over, I say again, it's a privilege. Give back, use that platform to give back.
Yes, I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for giving out your essentials and even just your personal insights and tips. I really hope that anyone that's listening right now has a little bit of knowledge just on how to become overall aware and also the importance of being mindful, not only in your personal life, but also in your professional life. So once again,
Absolutely.
yeah, Jess, thank you so much for hopping on. Truly appreciated from the community. For
I
now,
enjoyed it so much.
so thank you once again to anyone that's listening. Thank you as well. Keep posted on our next content feature. Peace and love, Karma Marketing.